yet another podcast session. Woo! I have never seen so many podcasting sessions at Podcamp. This is awesome. To the point where I made sure I supervised, or at least checked into a couple of the ones earlier to make sure I'm not repeating a lot of people, which were all really good sessions, by the way. So I've been podcasting for about 7 years. Seven in January officially. Just before the first, probably like 8 months before the first Podcamp. So I do a lot of stuff. Wrestling Mayhem Show, that's what I started with then. AwesomeCast, Let's Play is one I'm helping my friend Chachi. He's been doing his game site, insertcointobegin.com. So it was just something to help promote that. I failed at a lot of them, too. So, you know, stuff I've tried over the years that just, like, maybe wasn't into it enough, something didn't work out, you know, creatively or something, just like kind of, why am I doing this? So, come on in. You looking for podcasting? No. No, Mike. Hi. She's been in some of my library classes. Yeah, so don't worry to fail is my first lesson to impart on you. And sorry for a little bit of formatting issues. I made this on Keynote, and apparently I'm using PowerPoint 2000, so there might be a little bit of goofiness here. But that's not important. So, first thing, what the heck is podcasting? It's really, at this point, kind of an antiquated term, you know? A lot of my shows have turned from audio podcasts to having a video version, and we kind of split it, so whatever kind of fits for you. So netcasting is one term that's been thrown around. Video, you know, a lot of our stuff gets on YouTube, on Roku boxes. About half of my AwesomeCast, the technology show that we do, is watched on a Roku box, which is shocking because you have to get the Flip TV app and find it in there. And a couple people in this room actually do that, and that was a really shocking stat for me. So it kind of showed me the how it's kind of grown up over the years. Podcasting, why do we call it that? Basically, iPods were the big thing back then. Not iPhones, not iPads, not anything like that. So it was based on iTunes, RSS, and that was the primary way to get it. Of course, now you can get it through different apps. A lot of our stuff's through Stitcher. Again, the video through Blip TV, YouTube. So there's a lot of different options these days. So it's not just lined up with Apple itself. So my first thing you got to have in your toolbox is passion. You got to really want to talk about a thing once a week, twice a week, however it is. Or, you know, the Audio Shocker guys earlier today had a really good talk about this. How do I sustain this thing? How do I keep it up? A lot of the stuff that has been successful for us has been a podcast. Actually, every one that is still going, more than a year that I'm doing, Let's Play is only about 21 episodes in. Those are the ones that started because I had a conversation with somebody at a party or wherever about the subject, technology, pro wrestling, and says, hey, let's record this. Maybe people would be interested in because this is fun. And 7 years later, that's the one guy that's still on that show talking about pro wrestling with me every single Tuesday. A lot of the other faces have changed. We have, you know, typically we have a kid that goes to the University of San Antonio down in Texas that started out as a fan. We had a guy for a while that's from the Bronx. Now he kind of, since he got a job Tuesday nights, he still sends us video mails. And other people from around the city. So that's the first thing. And of course, that's different if you're doing this for like a business or something like that. Hopefully, I mean, if you're going to talk about something for an extended period of time, you really got to be in it for whatever reason, whatever your motivation is for that. Like I said, pro wrestling, tech, video games. The only thing missing from this equation is comic books, but I don't read enough recent ones. That's what the comic book pick guys are for. So this is really kind of, you look at this is just my kind of interest, personality thing going on, and it gives me an outlet for all that kind of stuff. On top of that, the Mayhem Show is definitely the show where I kind of let the more brash version of myself out. I'm very, very careful not to swear and or anything like that on Twitter, on a lot of other places. I have to be really proper since I have to do. I just actually got a teaching job, so that's the place where I. That's the place where I still let loose, and it gets a little risky. But that's okay. It's that one spot, parental discretion. We do it there. Everything else is, down the line, good. Hopefully it doesn't turn a lot of people away. So the first thing, be cool. Just be. It's a conversation. You're recording it. Maybe the first thing is not to think about who's listening to it on the other end, or how many people. Just be like, this is, like I said, it's the conversation I'm having with the guy that I talked with at the party, that we talked for an hour instead of going, hanging out, drinking, whatever. And have fun with it, like this guy. And be goofy. Again, have fun with it.
He's wearing the same shirt.
What's that? I am wearing the same shirt. This is not from this week, I swear. So, that was probably 2 weeks ago. That was the MySpace Google face that I tweeted out a couple weeks ago. And don't be boring, because and really, if it's something that you're passionate about, and you're interested in, it's again going to be something you're going to find somebody else that's going to have those same interests. This is a lot about niche. A lot of people aren't going to care to listen to a show about pro wrestling because they're just not into it, or they're not into the way that we talk about it. Really, let this be, and one of the rules we've had, especially on the Mayhem Show over the years, has been this is the part where we take our personalities and turn it up a notch a little bit. If we have an opinion about something, we kind of take it a step further to the point where we have fun with it. And we know that that's something that happens on the show. It's really just like a blown-up version of our personalities, and really gives us a chance to let loose. Be social. A lot of shows, this is not required. It kind of depends. And actually, this has really kind of been redefined. Because now there's a lot of opportunity where we didn't have it when I first started, where you can be social with that recording later, with Twitter, with Facebook, everything that you're learning over the weekend. But for me, this is a big component. Ever since day one of the wrestling show, 7 years ago, I was at the time playing with live streaming through Shoutcast servers, to the point where I had a tower sitting in my back room that was dedicated to streaming music, talk, whatever we were doing. And that's where we converted over to doing the podcast, because we kind of saw the rise of that versus who's going to do the stream thing. As well, of course, streaming is kind of more coming back since we can do it on our phones and everything. If there was something like that, and I think they're still using Shoutcast servers, and I'm sure there's a way you can get it on your phone really easy. Actually, I think they might use it for Twit through their app for their live streaming. And that makes sense now, but of course podcasting was the thing because we didn't have the bandwidth to drop in our iPad, devices to take with us as easily over the wireless networks. Now I listen to Pandora or podcasts just streaming to my phone, just driving around in like umpteen jobs. But we had the stream, and we always had a chat room, even if it was just like an AOL chat room to begin with. Like, not like an AOL chat room, like a AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, this is our private chat room, let us know you want in on it, we will invite you, kind of thing. And a lot of our personality, a lot of stuff we've grown was from this interaction. We easily have probably 10 to 15 people joining us throughout the night. Usually the biggest number is around where the Mayhem Show starts, because what we do is record in blocks of, we do all the shows on one night, so it's, we're just dedicating one night to the podcast, and everybody can really kind of schedule around that. Again, this is, I can't tell you how valuable this has been to us. I mean, this is how a lot of people have a chance to really shape the show, shape what happens. How many times, if you're just sitting there recording, you and the other guy, and I don't know how many times I listen to shows that don't do something like this, and you're like, oh, what's that thing, and it's on the tip of their tongue, but you're just shouting it at the podcast. There's a chat room that says, that maybe goes and Googles it or knows it off the top of their head, and it really does add to that and makes you look a little better for it. Because you're not sitting there like, kind of questioning what that thing was for the 10 minutes you're talking about a subject, whereas the chat room's kind of picking up the slack for you. It's your extended brain a lot of times, especially if you have a really good, some of the shows that I watch, they have like thousands, hundreds in their chat room at any given time, so somebody's going to know the answer for the thing that they missed. You don't need a lot of equipment to do it like I do. I'll tell you why here in a little bit. This has been amassed over years to the point, hey, there's Chilla. There's Chilla. He was apparently a guest that night. So yeah, this is my view if I'm on the guest couch with Chachi there, manning the board, switching everything. And there's the other view a little bit, and we'll get into what those screens are over there. Yeah, it can get a little crazy. If you're like, I want to do this thing, but I want to add on this component, and sometimes you just want to do a thing, and you're like, I need another computer in order to get that Skype call, in order to get more people on there. Like, that's where a lot of it's grown up for me. You don't have to be a professional. You really don't. You don't have to be an audio professional. I'm not the best at audio, which is funny since I do an audio podcast every week for the last 7 years. More of a video guy, but I learn, and I pay attention, and I see what listens. I listen to other podcasts and say, I didn't really like the quality of how they did that, or I did like how they did that, and I look at ones that I really like, and sometimes they'll post, or you can ask, what kind of equipment do you use, And it's not always I have to get a $500 mic. They were talking about, at the iPad podcasting earlier, they were talking about the Yeti, which is just a $99 mic, which is really great for the quality, really great. Some of the, if you're doing video, podcasting, streaming, anything of the sort, I think the webcam we're going to be using tomorrow is about a $79 one. Does HD, looks tremendous. And I mean, hell, if you have a MacBook, the last couple models had HD cams. So, where are you going to put it? If you're on audio, these are the kind of things that will help you. Spreaker is more of a place to kind of store it as a some community, but more the focus of this I want to look at was something like TalkShoe and Blog Talk Radio. TalkShoe is something that's been local. I learned about them way back at the first Podcamp. So if you're like, I just want to get a conversation, I want to get people involved, I want to have like a talk radio kind of thing. I have not used Blog Talk Radio. I have done a good bit with TalkShoe, and actually a lot of my podcasts are really hosted there. Still, just because that's where we've been. They have a nice component that, and again, I haven't done Blog Talks, but I know people who have, so I haven't seen their kind of back end, what you deal with. But I know with TalkShoe, they have a software that downloads, and you have a chat room built in, and you have this sort of situation where they give you a number, they give you like I think it's like a 4 to 6 digit code, and that gives them the ability to call into your show. Now a lot of that can kind of be done with Google Voice, things like that, but this is the first thing I saw that's going to lead to something later with what's happening with video, where it was really kind of an all-in-one thing. If I just wanted to get this thing, I have somebody that's like, halfway across the country I want to bring in, I can do that. If I want people to call in on a topic, you can do that. You have that ability. You can monitor it. I have not used it for probably a couple of years, but there's always going to be limitations with something like this. One of the big problems, huge problems with these things is if you're just doing something that's a conversation between two people, you don't need that call-in function. This is done, especially TalkShoe, I know is a little bit more over a phone bridge. So, it's even to the point that you could do your podcast by, I called in on the phone as the host and dealt with that, and you have the software on and it all records through. It's over a phone bridge. How well are phone calls? Even if you have a landline, how good are phone calls? Would you like to listen to an hour podcast at phone call quality? So, really cool idea, but it's a good place to start, but I don't think this is like a good extended option, but it is an option. So you more want to store. It's more a good idea you're recording it, like a GarageBand or something like that on your computer, doing a little work with it, kind of fine-tune a little bit, and you stick it up with one of these guys, Libsyn, representing in the back. Blueberry's another one. There's a whole bunch of them. These are the ones that are just really big on my radar. And they're really good because they have stats. They have, a lot of stuff that's going to help you out along the way. I know Libsyn, I see a lot of really good community. Blueberry has like a tech podcast network as well. So if you're in that line, you might be interested in that. And I noticed there's a lot of kind of forum talk around there as podcasters, a lot of discussion to help you out. Are you thinking about this thing? And stuff comes up all the time that I'm like, stuff that been, I'll see a blog post from Liz is like, are you doing the right album art for iTunes? Because you're never going to get featured, which somebody was talking about earlier today. And listen, look for those communities. Again, I should have named this a little differently. Not where do I put it, not where I'm putting the file, but where are people going to find me? People are going to find me in iTunes, first of all. Big thing is, first thing you think about. No, not everybody's going to be using iTunes these days. I hate the podcast app. I hate to download things on my phone. But there are other options, like Stitcher, and there are plenty of other services like that, where I stick it on, whether it be Libsyn, whether I have it on TalkShoe, something like that. I link it out to iTunes. They give me a feed. I can link it out to these guys. I live on this app. I stick all my podcasts on there. I hate when one isn't provided on there and I have to use the podcast app in iTunes. So now you have the option. If you're somebody like, for instance, people in like New York City, you have a 40-minute car ride from the Bronx to Manhattan for your job, you're not going to be streaming like I am driving across the Fort Pitt Bridge to whatever gig I have. You're going to sit there, download it to your phone so you have that to listen to. It helps. Or if you're worried about your bandwidth or something like that. And again, I'm big on, there was a lot of talk earlier about whether you spread things out or kind of focus people to one place. I want to be flexible is kind of my philosophy. Like, I want you to be able to get my podcast where you get podcasts. And in the long run, yeah, you're going to have to say, because I'm pretty sure these guys, their stats are not added onto the stats I get back in my host from these guys. Because every time it gets hit here, you get that stat, in your Libsyn stats, in your TalkShoe stats, wherever. And I had to email because the numbers weren't adding up, and I was like, hey, are you guys like kind of hosting my stuff there and then putting it out? Because my numbers aren't really making sense here. So be careful with that. So if you really want that kind of idea, and ask questions if the numbers don't add up. And a lot of them are really good about answering. Making the app hardware, again, we had a whole thing earlier today about this kind of stuff. These are just ones I pulled to kind of demonstrate, but there are a ton of options. Again, GarageBand is is available on every Mac you buy. A lot of podcasters use it. There's a free app. Should have put it on here. Audacity. Get an applause for Audacity. Love Audacity. It's the best thing ever. Only problem I have with that, I couldn't figure out the noise reducing, but I was using like Soundtrack and Audition, which are like $200-300 programs or something. I don't know what they are today. But it's a good place to start. Again, PC, Mac, and Linux, wherever. It's a good place just to say, okay, I can clip out that thing. I have a little intro music, something like that. It's a place to get you started. You need more advanced stuff, then you start looking at other options. And GarageBand is just insane. Again, you can do this if you want to do something where you're interviewing people at an event. These things are amazing. I had a podcast, I was just telling somebody earlier, I had a podcast for a client, and I'm taking, you saw that equipment, right? I'm taking the soundboard, I'm taking my laptop so it records in, I'm taking a bunch of microphones like this, and I didn't really buy portable stands because they're just in my studio, so I'm like loading my car with all this stuff. And this is really all you need, especially as powerful as these things are. My phone has two cores, you have 4-core phones. It's ridiculous. I think it's more powerful than this laptop. This is a perfect example. This one I just listened to a couple weeks ago and really demonstrated this. For those who don't know, Kevin Smith, he's really kind of moved from being a movie maker to a podcaster as a living. kind of, / stand-up speaker kind of thing. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is he was on a plane, Virgin Air, obviously, with Sir Richard Branson and Twitter's Dick Costolo. Two pretty big names, and it's one of, that would happen generally. You'd be like, okay, wow, I met those guys, we had a really good conversation. You'll never know about it. He had one of these, and he said what brand microphone it was, and it really wasn't half bad quality. Not as good as his typical ones are at home. I'm sure he has some crazy podcast studio layout. And there was a good, hour podcast with, interviewing one of the Twitter guys and, Sir Richard Branson, who's freaking putting us in space. So, again, just opportunities like that I'm carrying that around, right here. And this by itself, this quality of this little microphone's not great, but just putting that on this, portable studio. Video, kind of same ideas. If you want to store things, I use Blip TV. I like Blip TV because it aggregates me out to other things. I think I have to pay to aggregate it to these guys because they're more of a professional thing. Vimeo is really nice if you're really concerned about your rights to your video. Some people really don't like the terms of service that happens with YouTube. I know. And I really haven't investigated what Blip does, but there's a lot of kind of controls to that, and it's more of a professional thing. You don't get kind of crazy ads like you do on YouTube. And there's lots of options for this. And it kind of depends on where you want people to find you. If you just want to, if you're doing a video show, video podcast, whatever you want to call it these days, and I would not say you find me on Vimeo. I would say you find me at da-da-da.com. That's my site. That should be your point of access. And you embed the Vimeo on there. I make sure to stick it out to YouTube so people can find it. So when I had that interview with Kurt Angle, a lot of people are searching for TNA, Impact Wrestling, WWE Wrestling, Kurt Angle, and they're going to find that thing. And if you put it in the Google service, it's going to help your Google juice to make it findable for everybody. That's kind of a rule of thumb. Look at what they're doing with Google+. I hope somebody's talking about Google+ this weekend, by the way. Blip TV, again, it's just an aggregator. That's what gets me out the Roku, gets me out the YouTube. And they have a really good kind of, again, they kind of present themselves as a more professional video. I don't think I'm the fit for what they want, but it's a really good place for me to stick my stuff for now. And they do have monetization options, but you gotta get a lot of plays of that video for any of those YouTube or Blip TV to really pay off. This is I mentioned Skype earlier. Yeah, this is kind of my thing. These are my co-hosts. This is actually from this past week during the Let's Play podcast, which is again just like a video game podcast. So I really like kind of the visual thing, and I'm very and I have a whole setup where it's going through Wirecast, so I have kind of a video switcher on my laptop or Mac Mini now. But this is kind of my setup. If you want to do something like that, yeah, Skype has a multiple, user talk thing. You got to pay for it, but you'll lose control. Was my problem. I don't have a channel for each person. So when that person, the dog's barking on this guy's screen, what do? I got to mute 3 to 5 people in order to get that taken care of. So this is again a little more of an advanced side of thing that we've really troubleshooted and got through the years. This is a little bit of demonstration of how crazy it can get as well. This is actually we did a live stream from the Hard Rock a couple weeks ago for Day of the Girl, along with iTwixie. This is all coming through to a camera, to some other stuff we had, into a Google Hangout. Google Hangouts where I'm really excited. Anybody on Google Plus? Yeah. Anybody getting a lot of use out of Google Plus? Yeah. Google Plus is a social network unless you're really, I always say, because I've always heard that photographers have a really big community there. Certain things have a really good community. I have not found pro wrestling fans in much earnest. Some people are trying, but it's just not happening. If you like to talk about Google, it's a great place. Google I/O, oh my God, I knew everything about that skydive Hangout thing. So this is Google Hangout. If I had this a few years ago, I wouldn't have that giant thing in my basement. Yes, it's the same thing. I lose control, but you do get more control. So basically, all it is, you're in, everybody's got to have a Google Plus account. That's probably the hardest part, but how many people don't have a Google account these days? Somebody's got YouTube, somebody's got Gmail, somebody's got Calendar or something through that. Or maybe they just signed in because they like to customize their search or something. I don't even know where to go. I use it for so many things. This is an example of this is what I do every Monday night. This is everybody hanging out, having fun, muting WrestleFan because he pauses and drops out every time it happens for some reason we don't understand. But this is the most authentic, organic conversation tool I think I've ever used. Has anybody used Google Hangout here? So there's a little bit in there. For those that don't, basically what happens as I talk, and we'll show a little bit there, as he talks, it instinctively knows that's what the focus is going to be. This changes based on who's talking, pretty accurately. So I could technically sit there, I don't have the video switch, we have a conversation, and there you go. I mean, it was a really cool concept. I was really excited. Like, wow, this is good. I can stick it on a monitor instead of Skype, and I can record that with all my other junk over here. Yeah, they changed that. And there's a lot of fun too. They have a lot of tools with this. I also really like it for meetings more than Skype. You can put multiple people in and get that organic situation. A lot of our meetings for Podcamp were really done with this. A lot of times I'll get, especially since all these guys are all over the place, they're either all over the city. We're looking at Monroeville, we're looking at Ohioville, there's me over in Beachview, Texas, Johnstown, North Carolina. And we're all communicating. It's like he never moved away. He's never even lived here. And it's like I grew up with the kid. Okay, he's like 19, but still. And that's the first thing, and the tools that they give you. So we tried using it for a couple of things. This is an example, and actually I'll bring up the video. This is where it changed for everything. Wouldn't you really wish you could stream on YouTube like all those professionals? Because if you're going to stream anywhere, YouTube's kind of the place to be, if you want video in general, right? Do I have Wi-Fi? Do I have Wi-Fi? Do I have Flash? Those pictures on the desktop. So this is what you get. Hey guys, it's Unsung here. So basically they introduced something, and initially they introduced this to their more high-level producers, like, you know, some of the bigger, you know, I'm sure like Shaq and iJustine and all of them already had access to this. But I think back maybe a little before that, they released Google Plus on air to the rest of us common folk. And automatically, what that means is I can start a Google Hangout as an on-air, and I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm findable on YouTube. I can say, hey, go to this YouTube link. Not, hey, go to the site that you've never heard of. I hope you have the right plugin, etc., etc. You probably have to create a login, da-da-da-da-da. Most people have a YouTube account. And there we are. And there we are. This is actually, what happens is you get in there, it gives you a link, so you can go tweet out that link. If it goes to a YouTube page, looks like any other one, but it says it's live streaming. You also get an embed code. So I can stick that embed code over on that screen with the chat room and my video. I can go stick it on there and stick whatever chat room I want that people are already a part of. Like we were using Justin TV's chat room. We went ahead and used Justin TV's chat room because everybody already had a login for that, for our community at least. Now we use something called Rumble Talk, I think it is. We've just been experimenting that with over the last month. We also took that embed code and stuck it on the Beaver County Times website. This is, again, like it says, this was the iPhone 5 announcement. And basically all we did was we just sat there and read the live blogs and reacted to it, which I've seen is again something I'm kind of emulating from the people I watch. I'm a real big fan of the This Week in Tech network and all that stuff. So I'm like, well, they can do it. People around the area. I'm really big about the kind of the tech perspective from flyover states, as opposed to I don't care about the opinions of people in New York and people in California where their AT&T service sucks is a perfect example, and mine is just fine around the city. That was my first, those kind of opinions don't apply to me. It doesn't, because it doesn't work with you, because you have to be in the subway for 40 hours to get or 40 minutes to get anywhere. That doesn't apply to me, So why can't we do something like this? And we do it real easy. And there's a screen share function in this that there's the live blog that we're looking at. We're not really, everything's on the up and up because everybody knows what the site is and everything. We say that, and there you go. And now we have a video, and now anybody can go watch it, and anybody can do this. So really, the walls have been broken down for everybody. I want to point out Uncle Krabby's awesome bow tie in this shot. Wish he would talk more so it would come up.
No, how was that archived?
Basically, what happens is you do the stream, and then it's going to cut out when you end the broadcast, and seems to take a bit, but it'll be processing for a bit, and it's just another video on YouTube, just like you uploaded it. And the cool thing there is, okay, I did an event. We did the Day of the Girl thing. So there's a couple. You're not going to want to sit there and watch the whole thing, right? Like maybe there's some walls in it. We're live presenting like a live event, so it wasn't exciting for the entire 2 hours or anything like that. There's a video editor in YouTube, really rudimentary. But if you're like anybody, I just want a clip of this thing, or I just want to take a bunch of clips of this thing and stick it together and pop it out to YouTube. So you wait for that thing to process. Again, probably like half hour, an hour. It seems like what we usually do long events. And now you have a highlight reel of this conversation, of this event, of whatever you did here. So,
Sweet.
One-stop shopping for all that stuff. You're not going to do anything fancy. It really is like, I want text on the screen. Here's a giant white text with kind of a blackish, see-through background that's not going to look good on anything. But I can go clip things, throw a transition on it. That'll look fine. It cleans up all the crap that you're going to see, like all the buttons are gone and everything like that. The other really cool tool when you get into on-air, I almost forgot, and we use this a lot with the Day of the Girl thing. And this is where kind of my functionality that I built in my studio are coming back over. So anybody can drop into this anytime that you've invited in a circle. I don't think you can even put them public, right? So say we're doing this iPhone event, and somebody, I got to fly somebody out there to the event itself. He drops out and pulls out his phone, Android, because I don't think it's for iPhone. You can do Hangouts on iPhone, Android, everything like that. But I don't think iPhone is supported for the on-air function yet, but I'm sure it's coming soon. So he comes out and he pulls out his Android phone and he, plugs into our thing. Now, automatically, who knows what that audio is going to be like? Maybe this guy plugged in and his audio is real crappy because he's in a newsroom, everybody's talking, and he just busted into our conversation. You can set it so when they pop up, you automatically will not be seen here. It will be grayed out, and you can turn it on whenever you're ready. So you have like a switcher kind of allowance there. He's muted, he's gone until you see, you can maybe be in a chat room, again, that doesn't come up in here, but it's in the Hangout, and be like, hey, are you good to go? Good, so you're not popping him until he's not ready. He unmutes himself, so if something came up, he's like, okay, no weird sounds, I'm good to go. One more thing. Excuse me. So this really kind of breaks the rule, and even to the point where you do this, and you can have this come out and get recorded in a GarageBand or in Audacity. This can be how you do your audio podcast. Like instead of doing something over Skype or something like that, you can do it here. You're interacting better personally because you have face-to-face contact here, and then your audio cast sounds better as far as communication goes. So you can do that podcast with the guy down in Texas, down in North Carolina, and it just have a better communication tool there. So yeah, so that's what's really gotten me excited. A lot of kind of stuff, a lot of tools out there. Aside from that, again, Wirecast is something I use if you want to do something a little more advanced as far as video goes. It runs $400 to start, I believe. So it's kind of I'm up for that next step. But again, if you're like kind of like you're stepping up from free Audacity to I want to drop $200-300 on a better audio program, that's that next step, So, yeah. Other than that, I edit everything. Like most of that stuff's done. I drop it in Final Cut Pro just to clean it up, stick my intros in, good to go. So, any questions, guys? Well, you guys, I know some podcasters in the room, I think. Is anybody using anything else, Billy?
But the only we talk to a lot of people that are just like in love with this, and it's so freaking amazing. It opens up so many possibilities. And man, did Google really nail it on this one.
It's easy. It's easy. I can get anybody in versus getting them to install Skype and is my right microphone on and all that stuff.
For viewers and so many. The friction is so low. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't get it on iOS yet.
You can do the Hangout on iOS, just not the on-air live stream thing.
Yeah.
And I swear they're gonna release that any day now.
That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
I mean the whole Google Plus, whether it be in the Hangout, whether it'll be in Google Plus itself, because I have a huge problem with business pages on Google Plus.
Yeah.
Why don't I have this feature yet that I should probably have? Why can't I? Will they cleanse everybody? Because Google Plus comes out. You guys probably made a lip sync page. I made a Sorgatron Media page. I made a page for my podcast because I want them all to be there. Right? This is the new thing. Let's get there. To make sure we're there when it does blow up. It's not a real name. We don't want you to do that. Got slapped on the hand and warned to change my name, so I have a bunch of Michael Sorg accounts that have a picture of one of my shows. They've lined up on that, but then I was like, oh, I've got pages. I was like, okay, but you don't do all the stuff that I want to be able to do as that entity, as a business or whatever. Yeah, there's just this, I give them credit for taking their time and making sure things are right, but unfortunately people want to jump in there already doing this in other applications, in other, Facebook or something like, well, I want to do the Facebook stuff, but I want to do it here. Where's that at? But when they do something, like when they did events, I really think they did events right. So they've been really good about that.
I'm glad you're talking about Google Plus. I do social media development for a living and podcasting in my free time. I sat in hangouts with people at Google for months, asking why was it only I just team that had on air. And they kept saying, "Oh, it's coming." And that's every time you ask them, that's all they say.
It was understandable though, because okay, let's give it to the people that know what they're doing.
Sure.
So one, you're generating good content right off the bat. They're really big about quality control. I mean, it's a bunch of programs. It's going to be really big about time releases, quality control. How long did the beta invite system last? And they only allowed like a few thousand at a time. Like it was like 6 months before they just opened it to everybody. And it's like, did I get my thing yet? Did I get my thing yet? Kind of it built excitement, but it's still kind of really like, why can't I get to that thing yet? But yeah, I think that's kind of just built in the way they do things. The people that will make good content that already are, they're proven. They know how to deal with a tool like this versus we give the Joe Blow and they're doing ridiculous stuff and breaking things we didn't even know was a problem because why would somebody use it that way? So it's the plus and minus of Google in general. All right, anything else? Are we ready to start podcasting? So your podcast, I want to see what people will get out of this and see how people develop a Ferrari podcast. Because I know every year I come to this, especially this year with so much podcasting stuff, it's just like, man, why haven't I been doing that kind of thing? And that's why I always love coming back. Because even doing this as long as I have, there's a ton of stuff I'm missing. There's a ton of stuff I'm not thinking about. And I'm sure there's a ton of tools that I'm not thinking about using. Somebody signed us up a very a very good fan of ours, went and signed us up for, what was the thing earlier? I just kind of stuck it in there. I think it was Spreaker, which I don't even know much about Spreaker. Then he sent us the stats and shows us about 200 to 500 people are listening to each episode. Okay, you just upped their audience by like a third. You know, it was ridiculous. But I don't know enough to qualify those numbers or anything like that. But again, it's something he had to put the file up on, so I don't even see any of those numbers. So again, that problem like you have with something like Stitcher, some of those other services. So I have these just listeners floating out there that I not really know about unless they email the show. So, yeah. All right, anything else?
Can you go to the last slide which shows your...
Oh, yeah. Again, it'd be good if, you know, since I invited you to email me or anything like that. This is this is how you get it. Of course, I'm on Twitter at Sorgatron. It's kind of my online identity. MikeSorg.com is my personal page. It's one of those About Me pages, which I think are really cool. It's a nice kind of outlet. If you want kind of like a hub of this is all the social media places to find me, it's really cool. And it's kind of nicely laid out, as long as you don't put a weird picture down there. And SorgatronMedia.com is my company website. I have all of my podcasts up there, of course. A lot of my client work as well, and everything else. I sell wrestling DVDs there too. So it's a little bit everything that I'm into. So yeah, and emails are on there. It's MikeSorg@gmail.com. But you can get through any social media I have listed there. I pay attention to it all. So, all right.